Good afternoon. Good afternoon, and welcome to another office hours training. I am Crystal Gunn, your financial strategist, and welcome. Just want to go back and jump into financial planning since October is Financial Planning Awareness Month. And you know how I love a good financial strategy. So, just talking about some things that are essential in building your financial plan. Go back and watch the last few episodes. And then just kind of go back and watch any other previous episodes. The more you tap in, the more you know. When we talk about this whole financial plan and we talk about, being able to save, pay bills, and live the life that you want, it does take some planning, right? And it can be daunting because there's a lot that goes into it. But once you get things in place, it's easier to get the next things in place. And you then create that system to be able to pass down to your children and your children's children's children. So let's talk about goals today. Because when I talk to people, a lot of times they have not set financial goals. But setting financial goals, it gives your money a purpose, being intentional with your money, and helps you to prioritize your spending and savings, right? So breaking your goals down into short and long-term categories ensures that you are not only covering immediate needs, but also planning for your future. We got to plan. We have to be intentional with our money, right? So setting both short and long-term financial goals is crucial for building a solid financial future. Short-term goals keep you focused on the present, while long-term goals give you direction for the years ahead, right? So when I talk about, you got to be able to plan for today, tomorrow, and then the future generations, right? So today being right now, your tomorrow being later in life, including retirement, and then for the generations that follow you. So setting down those goals, having a plan first, and then breaking that plan down into short-term goals and then long-term goals, right, allows you to execute the plan effectively. So short-term goals, 1 year or less. So you want to build an emergency fund. You want to pay off some credit card debt. You want to save for vacation, right? What's the thing that it is that you are planning for? Again, 1 year or less. For me, it's always a vacation is always when I teach my clients and in my courses how to create that financial system of success. You're always putting money away for vacation. So it's a constant going into that account for vacation, right? Because I think travel is something that you should do. And so when you think about it that way, not as, oh, this is something that I get to do, but it's something that I do, right? That vacation, then you're saving for it all the time. So now if we're creating that financial system of success for you for the go forward, you don't have an emergency fund. Well, we need to build you one within the next 12 months, right? If you need to pay off some credit card debt so that I can show you how to use it effectively, and then you're using it the way that it should be used, meaning you're also not carrying a balance every month, but each one of those credit cards having a job, just like every dollar you own should have a job, right? Well, we need to see, okay, well, do we need to pay some credit cards off? 1 year or less, right? There could be some other things that you're trying to do in that 1 year or less that's not something that you're going to do over and over and over again. You may want to buy a house next year, so you need to save money to buy a house. So again, right, short term, 1 year or less, maybe a year and a half, depending upon what it is, but it's very, very short term. So then there's long term, 5 years or more. And I know it's a whole lot that falls into that long term, right? Now, buying a house could also fall into long term. You may know that you want to buy a house, but you may know that, okay, well, it's not even going to be possible for other reasons other than financial for at least 3 years, 2 years, or whatever, right? I'm in college and I don't want to buy a house until, I'm in college, I work full time, but I don't want to buy a house until after I graduate, and I graduate in 2 years. And I don't want to buy a house until I know where I'm going, right? Okay, well, then that could be 3 to 5 years down the road. So long term goals, 5 years or more. What else could fall into long term? Definitely retirement savings should fall into long term. Funding for a child's education should fall under long term if you haven't put other things in place for them to be able to pull money from in order to pay for those things. What's happening with the next generation? So, as you are figuring out your long term things, um, how then are you setting up your children? Because your children, again, have to fall into that long term, those long-term goal plannings. So what does that look like? So creating that strategy for you and how to create a strategy. Now, mind you, the strategy for your children and that your children will do is going to be different from yours, but the goal is to be able to teach them. So when you have children in your house and you're working on your short-term goals, have those conversations with those people in your house. Well, what's your short-term goals? I don't care if they're 5. What's your short-term goal for the next year? What do you want to accomplish? It sets in their mind too, not only financially, but how to set goals. We achieve more when we have goals set, right? And so then asking them too, well, what's your long-term goals? 5 years or more. Let them start thinking of the future so that it's not, everything isn't just about right now. There's so many people that make so much money that don't have their financial plan 5 years, 5 years and out. And so I have clients and students in my courses who we are working on their retirement plan. What are they going to do in retirement and putting some things in place now? And these people are, some of them, 10 years out from retirement. So think if you started thinking about those long-term goals when you were 20 and 30 years out from retirement, or 40 years out from retirement. Do you know how massive that is, and how on point and what your retirement would look like if you started thinking about it 20 or 30 years ahead of time? So that's the power in setting the short term and then the long term goals, right? And you want to use SMART goals, right? Specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound, right? So, what is it? Specific. I want to say, we're saving for a house. We want to buy a house. We're saving for a house. I need to pay down this credit card debt, saving for that, or working to do that. I want X amount of dollars in an account for my retirement, right? Or I need this account set up for my retirement. What's the specific and how much is it? I want to buy a house. How much do I need, right? So then it's measurable. How much do I need to save up to buy this house? Is it 20,000? Is it 30,000? How much in credit card debt am I that I'm trying to pay off? Is it 10 grand? Is it 5 grand? Right? And then is it achievable? So you know that it's achievable, but sometimes you have to put a time date on it. Okay. I need to save this amount of money. It's not achievable for me to do in 5 months, but it is achievable for me to do in 6 months. And that goes back to the time bound. How long is it going to take me to do that? Right. So can I achieve it? Yes. How long is it going to take? That's the time bound. And is it relevant? Is whatever you're doing relevant to that whole financial plan that you have? So it's a process. And when you think about When I think about financial planning, I look at everything that you do, you create a plan for. It might be a small plan. Going to the grocery store, you write a grocery list. That's a plan, right? If you are planning a trip, a vacation, right? You create a plan for it. What dates are we going? Let's look at some flights. Where are we going to stay? What are we going to do when we get there? You're creating this plan. When you're getting married, you're creating a plan. Okay, well, over the next year and whatever, we have this stuff to do. When you have a timeline and it's, you know what I mean? It's measurable, it's specific. If you're having a baby and you know that baby is now due, you're planning, okay, this baby is due, you know, January 25th. Well, what's the plan? What do I need? I need diapers. I need a crib. I need all of this stuff. You're planning for the baby shower. You're planning everything. Everything that you do requires a plan, except for most people don't have a financial plan. Most people don't have a financial plan. Most people, or their financial plan is very specific and reactive. It's not proactive. And when I say reactive, I mean I have to pay these bills. So they're reacting to a thing. They're not thinking about the rest of their life. And that's the part that I just push and strive to get people to understand. Let's think about tomorrow. And I get when we're in survival mode, and most people are living survival mode. Most people thinking paycheck to paycheck. So you can't always think about tomorrow, let alone the generation after you, right? Or two or three or down to 10 generations after you, as I talk about. But part of that is figuring out I can't stay in survival mode. I have to be able to move. And in order to do that, you sometimes have to get outside assistance. You have to tap in somewhere else, because when you're standing in the middle of it, you can't always figure it out, right? So to be able to show you, you can do and take care of today, but you also can plan for tomorrow and the next generation, right? So do me a favor. Think about what you want to accomplish financially in your life. Do you have a written financial plan to accomplish those things? If you don't know what you want to accomplish, or if you know but you don't have a written plan, how will you make it happen? Think about what happens when you go. You hear this all the time. Think about what happens when you go into Target, right? People go into Target and say, I went to Target, and you had a plan, you had a list. You went to Target and you still bought 10 things that weren't on that list. Was it because your list wasn't comprehensive and thought out and researched, and it wasn't an effective plan? Or do you just not stick to plans as you make them? You know what I mean? Like, there is a reason why that happens, right? But if you don't have a plan and you haven't written it, I can guarantee you're not going to accomplish what you can accomplish if you had that written plan, if you were intentional about what it is that you're trying to do, right? Going back, and I'm going to continue to mention it, the 2053 prediction of Blacks having zero wealth. 10 years behind that, it was Hispanics having zero wealth. But getting your house in order is how we ensure that prediction doesn't happen, right? And yeah, we talk about those generational curses, or not even curses, just bad money habits that we pass down, not necessarily intentionally, but how do we break that? How do we stop doing that? Well, you have to then create the new systems that you pass down for generation to generation. So let's just get to my favorite thing, which is financial planning. You got to have a plan. Like, if I came to you and said, hey, I want to go on vacation, give me directions on how to get there, you would ask me, where do I want to go? And then we can create the plan to get you there. What is it that you're trying to accomplish, right? So when I think about that, I think about the things to do. Write out your vision. I tell everybody, how do you want to live the rest of your life from this day forward? It's important to think about. And so many times I ask that question and I get some variation of, I don't know, never thought of it that way. Or it's some very, very broad you know, not precise, not really measurable, it's just this broad thing. And I'm saying get down to the get down and be very, very specific. Specificity is going to do you well in this process. But what is it? And I understand that a lot of times people are so scared to dream about a thing or to think about a thing because we're stuck right here in this survival mode. And I'm trying to pay this bill and this is all I can focus on. We got to expand that thinking and expand that horizon. So write out your plan, your vision, right? How do you want to live your financial life? Just your life from this day forward. How do you want to live your life from this day forward? What does that look like? I can't tell you what it looks like, but I want you to get into it, dream about it, and dream big about it and write it out. And then create some goals. When you're writing it, it's not up to you to determine how you're going to get there. Just write it, right? But then create some goals. If you know you have some debt, part of this thing is you want it to be debt free. Okay, well, what's the goals for you to be debt free? One, you got to pay it off, but then two, you got to think about how are you going to stay debt free, right? And then when you start to write those goals out, then you can put a plan in place to implement those goals. That's going back, being intentional. And remember, short-term goals, start with that. How do you want to, okay, for some to just think 5 years and beyond. So let's do 1 year. What do you need to do and how do you want to live your life in the next 12 months? Then go from there to 5 years. Within the next 5 years, what do you want? Or you may say within the next 10 years, take it up, right? How do you want to live your life in the next 5 to 10 years? And then go 10 years after that. Because for some to think all the way through is going to be a lot. So you may need to shorten the times. You may have short-term goal. You may have mid-term and then long-term goals, right? Remember, I always say there's no cookie cutter. So you do it how it works for you. And some people cannot. It scares them. It frightens them. It blows their mind to think about something 10, 15 years from now, or 20 years from now, or 30 years from now, or for the next 10 generations. But we have to think about those things. So then you break them down how you need to break them down. The goal, though, is to figure out how you want to live the rest of your life, create the goals, and then implement the goals so that it becomes a reality and it doesn't stay in this dream state. It can happen, right? But you have to be super intentional. You have to be super intentional with your money, with your thoughts, and with your actions. And in order to be able to do that, you need to have a financial plan, a strategy, and goals in order for you to be able to do that. So I'm hoping some of this information that I'm sharing this month about financial planning is resonating with you. I'm hoping that you're getting something out of it. Please, if you are, subscribe to the channel, but also share the information with somebody else. Listen, I talk to people all of the time, come into workshops, they come into courses. I just see them out about at different events. And one thing remains true, is that we have to get more intentional with our money. Again, it's not about the sacrifice, it's about the intentionality. People hear budget and they think, oh my God, I'm not going to be able to do a thing. I want you to hear budget and think that is my financial system of success. This is going to allow me to do the thing, to have the thing, and to have the life that I want. So share this information with somebody else. You never know who's looking for what. Be a blessing to someone else. They could have been praying for the answer that was given today or something. You never know. You want to be a blessing to somebody else. And remember, always, always give yourself some grace. Never, ever, ever beat yourself up about what you didn't do, what you didn't know, right? Give yourself some grace. Keep striving for your next level and never, ever give up on you and your family. Invest in you. All of this really is about an investment in you. So invest in you. I promise you it's the best investment that you'll ever make, and you will never, I guarantee it, you will never, ever, ever regret it. Thank you for joining me today. I am Crystal Gunn, your financial strategist and life insurance agent, and I will see you next time. Thank you for watching. I appreciate your time. Be sure to join me for the private online Q&A immediately following. The link is in the description. And if you haven't done so already, please be sure to subscribe to my channel and turn notifications on so you never miss this opportunity. Thank you again, and I will see you